Morning, late morning, yes. Good evening. Good evening to Salt Lake City, and good morning to Thailand, and good evening to California. Bhima Krishna, it is evening, I think. Yes, my early morning geography is not very good. And Rupa Nubu in Australia, so it is good afternoon, I do believe. Seva Rupa Devi Dasi in South Africa, early in the morning. I know, well done. And Pavan Krishna in Thailand also. Aparajita Devi Dasi too. All right, let us begin, dear devotees, and we begin as we do with an auspicious beginning. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Vandeham Sri Guru, Sri Uttapadakamalam, Sri Gurum Vaishnavanscha. Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sarvetam Savirutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitanscha. Om Agyan Timarandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshuran Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Goratvijay Namaha. Vanchakalpaturubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Garadhara Srivas Adi Shri Gaura Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So dear devotees here on Zoom and on Facebook and in the recorded version, welcome. We're here to keep our feet on the ground, but to look upwards and back to basics. And here to welcome also Lynn and to welcome Axel, to see you both back with us and happily here in the association of the devotees. Maybe we can come today first to Villa Govinda. I'm in Villa Govinda, Sri Govinda Farm Ashram, and we can come and hear from Priya Sundari Devi Dasi. Yesterday we had a very happy Zoom to Brazil, but she didn't get a chance to speak, but I think she was ready to say lots of things. And we, on the theme of keeping going, that the festivals are over, we're keeping going, and responsible service. Oh, responsible service was here, yes, in the evening time. And we can come to Priya Sundari. And here, by the way, yesterday was Saturday. Well, because here's today is Sunday, so we have this Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. All right, yesterday was Saturday, but we had, even though it was raining, we had a good group of newcomers, people who came yesterday. And there was one man who came, and from the internet, he'd seen some discourse, and then he was certainly interested, and he called, can I come to the temple? And then he stayed for the whole day and saw the whole programs, and not only the day, but stayed right to the evening arti, evening prasad, all the way through. And an intelligent, gentle-natured searcher, really he was searching. And so this always gives us some encouragement when there's somebody who wants to hear about Krishna consciousness. And then others also came, and interesting stories of how they have got some introduction to Krishna consciousness, but finding it difficult to adapt at home because of the pressures from the home to, when they're trying to do some chanting or reading or having their own time, then feeling pressure from the family that, oh, you're doing something which weird, something like this. Anyhow, it was interesting yesterday to be with persons who are not fully acquainted but have got some inquiry is definitely inspirational in the sense of this is what Mahaprabhu wants from us, means from us all, that we will inquire and we will take this human life seriously and not as a game, more or less. So let us come to Priya Sundari, some reflections. She's in an active ashram and with the devotees. And over to you, some reflections and some experiences, something to share from Thailand. Thank you.
Dandavad, Gurudeva, Dandavad, so devotees. Well, it's been reflection-wise. I have been trying to just absorb as much as I can from the readings, and it's so sweet. It's like sometimes there's a wave of sweetness, and all of the readings, all of the songs are so sweet. And by accident, I ran into these sermons of devotion, sermon of the Guardian of Devotion, the brightest sun, chapter 8. So I was going to share this yesterday, so I can share this today. Just a couple of verses, but I have the Portuguese version here, so I will look for the English version to share. And so just a reflection before I share. It's I was remembering how the holy name you have to chant. You're gonna commit offense either way. You try to avoid, but it's gonna happen sometime. And then the solution is that you continue chanting the holy name, even though there may be an offense. And in this chapter, I was reading that for you to do seva, or for you to you shouldn't try to just control your mind as a yogi, or you shouldn't just try to get rid of your sins or your bad habits or your vices just by controlling your senses and focusing on that, because we cannot really do that for a lasting period of time, and it's not the main focus. And so what it says is that with what we can do is to focus on seva, and then we channel our energy to seva. We focus on seva, and while we are doing seva, it will help us get rid of everything else that shouldn't be there. So it was a very, very simple reflection. I'm not sure if it's correct, but in a similar way to the effect of chanting the holy name that gets rid of the offense to the holy name. Sometimes doing seva, you are not doing seva in the most pure sentiment and mood. But if you continue doing seva, maybe it will come. So this was the reflection, and let me find the English versions here so I can share the.
Which version? Which volume is it? Because there are 4 books in the sermon series.
Volume 1, chapter 8.
Okay. Yes.
Sorry, I was not prepared with the English version.
Okay.
But I can try to read in Portuguese or try to translate.
Okay. I'll find it. I'll find it. You can read in the Portuguese, because we do have several devotees here and who know Portuguese, not myself, but others. But we more or less can follow. It's not so different from Italian, Spanish, family.
Okay, but Lilamoy has found actually, he just posted it on the chat.
Oh, okay. Well done, Lilamoy Prabhu.
She's should I read?
Yes, please. Please do so.
Okay. So the agitated mind, repeatedly taken captive by its enemy in the form of depravity, rooted in lust and greed, is directly mastered by serving the Supreme Lord Mukunda. It can never be likewise checked or pacified by practicing the eightfold yogi discipline, which is generally based on sensual and mental repression, yama, niyama, etc. And this is one of the verses. So this is a very short contribution, but
actually, seva, to be engaged in service for Krishna, this is the essential part. And it's not to sit and always just meditate on what is not, this nyeti, which is followed by the monists, those who just want liberation. And just to want liberation is actually still within the realm of selfishness, because it's about me, myself. I want liberation. I want this, I want that. But it's not selflessness. It's not giving ourselves for the Lord, giving ourselves for the higher purpose, giving ourselves for somebody else. It's still in the realm of my enjoyment of it. I will be happy if I get free from the material world. And then to recognize that lust, greed, anger, hatred, and all these enemies which are given to us, or described to us as our enemies, it's not that we just push them and try to push them out so that I will get liberation and I'll float in a happy place. So service is always the emphasis of Gurudev, Guru Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur also, not to make our life's goal our liberation. And the pure devotees, you see, they say that I'm not looking for liberation. Dear Lord, if it's your wish, I'll be born again. Let me be born again. But in the company of your devotees, in your household, let my connection with you never be lost. And this was Gurudev. We saw Gurudev. He was selfless to the extreme, and in service to Guru Maharaj, he gave himself to us. It was all for Guru Maharaj's service. But what was that service of Guru Maharaj to? To give Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's clean service connection. And so service. But to think about how to engage rather than how to not engage in the material world. And actually in the material world in Kali Yuga is so powerful. Just to go down the street, you've got advertisements, but in English, advertisements, shouting at you. They're all competing for your attention. The shop fronts, they've all got something which is calling out for your attention. So to be able to be absolutely aloof from the material world in Kali Yuga, where it is an ocean of fault, is almost a futile attempt, because we're basically only cheating ourselves if we think that we can be aloof to every pull, every push, every environment, everything in the environment that is trying to draw us in this world. Then if we think we're aloof to that, well, Krishna can show us very good reasons why we're not. Hare Krishna, but service, in the material world, they advise that you have a career. There are career advisors. At school, we had career advisors. I must say they weren't very helpful in our school. But the idea of the career advisor is they find a suitable engagement for you in the material world. That what is going to suit you, what are you going to be happy doing? That you have to use your energy, you have to live. You can't be a parasite on society, a parasite on your family, etc. Rather, we need to do something, and accepting we need to do something, we need to do something that we have some passion for. So now, as devotees, we want to have passion for the upper ideal, and with that passion, be successful. use our passion in the right place, because it is passion which is drawing us into the material whirlpool. So yes, and that book was well received, by the way, Sermons of the Guardian of Devotion, Volume 1, which you have there. This was made in Navadip Dham, in the time, in the presence of Srila Guru Maharaj. And in the first edition, it had the cover was hand painted, the whole design of the cover by one devotee lady, Annapurna of Mexico, who is still in this world and keeps contact every now and again. But it was very simply made, and it was made in the printing press, a letter press, printing press, and this is soft cover book. And Srila Guru Maharaj was happy, Srila Gurudev was happy, the devotees were happy, and it was very sweet. And it was done on the typewriter, by the way, all of it, cut and paste. If you want to know about cut and paste, then try making a book with a typewriter. That's what we did, and we have our witnesses, and it was printed on the letter set printing press in Navadip. It was all done locally. And those days, really, there is an expression that one of our devotees used to use, and Guru Maharaj used it, I think. The expression is, cut your coat according to your cloth. So in other words, if you've got very rich cloth, you can make your coat in a very rich style. If you've got regular cloth, okay, that's what you've got. You make your coat like that. So cut your coat according to your cloth. So that book that you're referring to, that was well received by the devotees, and does have, they all have a special place, but does have its own little history that's being made there in the temple itself. Hare Krishna. And today I saw Sri Lekha. Yes, Sri Lekha is with us. She's in a darker room than usual, but it's all good. Uh-oh. No, you're okay. Maybe it's, no, don't worry. Oh, Sri Lekha. Oh, there we are. And then there was light. Just see. There we are. Sri Lekha Devi Dasi. You know about service. You've had a life full of service and still going on. There is, and as Srila Guru Maharaj said, to maintain, to continue. It has its value and should not be underestimated. And when we look at the whole worldwide, devotees, and so many devotees we know and have known, we can understand that to continue has its value. So to continue in devotion and service, to remember that we are not only to surrender. Yes, I surrendered 40 years ago, 50 years ago, or 10 years ago, or last year I surrendered. I'm a surrendered soul. We have to surrender always in order to stay on the track. But surrendering means, what service can I do? What should I be doing with service-wise? Then we'll be safe and sound. So let us hear from one of the safe and sound devotees floating over Maya underneath, floating on the top and looking upwards. Okay, you can uncover your ears now. Hare Krishna.
Dandavat Maharaj, and Dandavat to everybody, all the sweet faces here. It's always a little overwhelming for me to see everyone. But we were talking, first of all, so glad that, Didi, that you mentioned the sermons, because that Sermons 1, Maharaj, is really a book that we, here at the temple, we're constantly referring to it. especially that chapter, The Guardian Ruled Family. That's all about Gopchitra Varanam. And I think, and we were discussing it last night at the Friday program. We're always talking about these sermons one. It's really so valuable to us and giving constant inspiration. And especially that one chapter, that Gopchitra Varanam, the guardian ruled family. It's very, we can read it, we just read it again and again and again. And it's always reminding us that our guardian is with us and we shouldn't feel any suspicion toward him. We should really fully understand that he is perfect, that he is so kind, he is so merciful, he's the cause of all causes, and he's very affectionate. And every single thing that he arranges for everyone is perfect. It is what is necessary at the moment of every living being. And so we're trying to, really remember these things, that we are in any given situation, everyone is being adjusted, not just one person. It's all going on at the same time. Everyone is receiving their perfect adjustment at every moment. It's really quite an extraordinary thing to think about. And last night, also we were discussing something that really made me think about service in a sort of a different way. And, we can hear the scriptures. And of course, we're trying to understand Siddhanta according to our divine Guru Varga. But it's in service necessity that that Siddhanta is being revealed. It's being revealed within service necessity. So I don't know, I was thinking of a funny example, but how Srila Gurudev, he, built a big wall around the temple compound, even with shards of glass on the top, right? It was a very, to keep the temple very safe for the devotees and the deities there. And but someone may think, well, if a person is surrendered, then they don't have to put anything in place like that. But that's not actually what surrender is. Surrender is brought out by the service necessity. And so that was Gurudev's divine service necessity, to do what was necessary for the service of Guru Maharaj and the temple. And I was even thinking of a very extreme example of I don't know if you've heard Srila Guru Maharaj telling that story about that Alwar in South India. I forget his name, who wanted to build the temple. And he was going around to all the rich, I forget his name, and I think it was the Temple of Balaji, or I forget now those details, but he was going around to so many different, rich men to get money for this temple. And this was his service. He had to do that. And nobody was giving him any money. So he hired some gundas to go steal some money. And that's a very extreme example of, we cannot understand what surrender is or anything outside of the context of service. We really won't ever understand it. Service is what is it is the service and ultimately Leela that reveals everything that we're trying to understand. It is all within service. That is where the brilliance of all understanding comes in that context. So I don't know if I'm being a little vague, but I don't know. I guess it's kind of obvious, but I don't know. It struck me in a new way about that. And so when we're observing the great souls, and there's so much variety in their actions, and what we may imagine just from hearing about something, we will actually see the truth of that in the actions, in the nature, and the expression of the service energy coming through these great souls. And that is not optional. To understand anything about Krishna consciousness without seeing the service of the devotees, the life of the devotees, you won't understand anything. Anyway, that was just something I was thinking about. There's so many things. So many
And that comes back to the family as well.
Yeah.
Guardian rule family. It's not a guardian rule, workhouse or a guardian ruled knowledge library. It's a guardian ruled family. And just like in The Guardian, here in Villa Govinda, we have the world famous morning announcements by Munindra Mohan Prabhu. When we can get them out of him. So he's giving some guidance for the day, or somebody on his behalf, or as his spokesman, is giving some guidance for the day of what's going to be our service. But we have to ourselves, in our own consciousness, wake up in the morning and give ourselves a Munindra Mohan famous morning announcement as to that our service, which is going to come up that day, and what we need to do from the beginning to the end, and make that resolve that we say on New Year's days, etc. From today, we're going to do everything better than I did yesterday. But family, guardian rule family, means that the family, the team of Guru, the team of our grandfather, the team of our grandfather. And in a family, then we've got all of them looking after us. And the grandfather is the head of the family, and the father is the head of the family, but the grandfather is the head of the family. And I'm not from a generation when our grandfathers were present. Rather, not our generation, but my life was where my grandparents were actually aged. So that we didn't have any opportunity to know them about, but certainly the grandparents, they were grandparents. I mean, they were grand, what can I say? Grand means in the sense of they were held with natural respect in the family, and what they say goes, but in an affectionate way. And how much affection from the grandparents. And this way, Srila Guru Maharaj, Srila Gurudev would constantly say, as well, all the way through, but especially in the earlier days, that to the devotees. So you have you have a very qualified grandfather. The grandfather is always more affectionate to the child than the father himself. So don't worry, you are in a very safe position this way. But the grandfather is like that. They give affection, causeless affection, and breaking the rules. And my grandfather broke the rules. When we used to stay with him in the holidays, I'd sleep on the floor in his bedroom, and as a child, and he would feed me biscuits in the night after we brushed our teeth and everything. That was a big no-no. it never entered our mind actually to eat biscuits in the night afterwards. But there's my grandfather calling, come, 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 I've got this for you. Very sweet. But yet, he was a surgeon. So, you know, in the hospital, I never saw him in his surgeon mode, but I mean, he was a surgeon. So, like Guru Maharaj says about the king may come down to you know, just render natural service to a subject, or to his family, to his children. He can be led around the house by his little finger, but yet he's the king of the whole army, the head of this, that, and the other. And he gave the example too of the doctor can take the role of the nurse out of affection for the patient. So we've seen that kind of behavior, and guardian ruled family means that our guardian is not our just affectionate guardian to give us something mundane in the world, but really our affectionate guardian to take us into that service plane and to give us something to do. They give us something to do, give us support in our life, and give us support in our life home, the journey home. Life's journey. What is the expression that Shanti Moy used? Oh, journey of life. Journey of life. She's given this sort of over title for these varied pilgrimages that we are making here. Hare Krishna.
I think it's very difficult to, we were talking about this the other morning, how it's very difficult to believe that the Lord is so merciful. It's hard to believe it. You know, we can become discouraged. I have some weakness. I have some this and that. And we were really talking about this. And then I remembered what Srila Guru Maharaj said about the king coming out to take a stroll in the town. And suddenly he sees like an orphan boy, a little urchin with nothing, just sitting in the gutter with nothing. And his heart suddenly melts. And he takes that boy to his chest and embraces him and takes him home with him. He said, if we can conceive of Mahaprabhu like that, how overwhelmed with sudden affection and compassion and wanting to take us home to be with him and giving us everything as though we were his natural heirs. So we have to understand this kind of affection is coming to us. It is, you know, we really have to always do that. And again, the guardian ruled family, as you're saying, Maharaj, is always looking to realize that this loving guardian is with me. And everything he's arranging for me, it's really for me. It's really to help to remove something in me that is giving me so much pain and trouble. And we fight against that. We don't want to learn the lesson. We want to just, but we simply should bow down and say, my Lord, this is perfect for me. And let him show us what he's trying to show us.
And we must be appreciative recipients of that grace. And I was thinking, while you were saying that about the king and the pauper, we had a very good-hearted, we still have a very good-hearted devotee, who shall remain nameless. And he in Navadi, one day he was on the train and there was some young person that he was poor and he had a lot of sympathy for him. And so he brought him back to the temple. But when he came to the temple, there was no place, it was a festival time, there was no real place for him to stay in a way that he wanted him to, okay, come, don't worry, be in the temple. So he said, oh, so you share my room? and then shared the room. And then next day, when he woke up, he was gone and so was his money. So we mustn't be like that, that we get the mercy from the wealthy, you know, from those with the wealth of Krishna consciousness, but then try to take it for ourselves. Okay, there's something here for me. Let's go and take from me. Rather, we must be careful to see our fortune and to take that opportunity. Yes, what can I do? Where can I fit in here? Not what can I take from here? And I do believe that sweethearted devotee, it happened to him twice. Another time somebody, and to give so much sympathy for him, came, but it happened to two devotees in a row, more or less. I think it was the same devotee twice. Hare Krishna. But in another way, he's not the loser. In the sense of, you know, he had a good heart and he wanted good for that person. And even when it all happened, I honestly don't think he had bad feeling for him. It's like he's unfortunate, which is also a good quality. Hare Krishna. But yes, by the way, that's an interesting example that you gave before, how Srila Guru Maharaj himself was putting up the boundary wall for the temple. The actually boundary fence. Guru Maharaj was putting up a boundary fence for the temple in the early days. And then Srila Gurudev, he made the boundary wall. And by the way, that boundary wall, the actual wall, came also from early funds from the West. When some money did come from the West, Srila Gurudev used that as a priority to make the wall around the temple so that people aren't coming in and, sorry to say, passing stool in the property of Krishna's property, etc. And so many things, because that's what happens in India. What used to happen probably still does happen. That any beautiful land which is vacant is used as the storeroom. And then presently Govinda Kund put up the boundary wall to stop people passing stool and washing their backsides in the water. And then washing their pots in the water. India is an amazing place. And just now there's been a group of devotees there. And our Chintamani, I'm not in the gallery view, Chintamani, our Chintamani, I'm not sure if she's ours, but our Chintamani who pops up all the while here and there, she's just been looking after a group from Australia of devotees, but she just said goodbye to them at the airport, which she said everybody got sick. She said it's so difficult because everyone got sick. Need a little bit of a strong constitution in such a place. Govinda, Govinda. Who would like to make a contribution? We started with Priya Sundari Devi Dasi, then Sri Lekha Devi Dasi. She's made a contribution, and Seva Rupa Devi Dasi, she's feeling very limited because the Krishna search has exceeded its bandwidth. So we have to wait until it's got some more bandwidth again until it can be used. Oh, I see. I just saw on Facebook, it's transcribed. I thought the messages are coming. It's transcribing what they're saying. Well done, Facebook. You're very smart. Hare Krishna. So I'm reading my own words, thinking it's a message coming in. Aparajita Devi Dasi, you are an enthusiastic sharer in the family of Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Would you like to share some enthusiasm? By giving, we get. So if you give us some enthusiasm, you will get more enthusiasm. This is one of the sciences of Krishna consciousness.
Dhanyawad Maharaj, Dhanyawad everyone. Yeah, it's very rich to hear from everyone, and also from Didi, from the sharing. Yeah, I always feel so nourishing, and yeah, and every day as Sileka Didi share, I also yeah, every day from the small things I feel can receive more and more. I can feel the mercy that be given to my life more, and the kindness and many things that I didn't aware before. And yeah, from being in Bangkok, from Muktinat, I also like keep receiving opportunity for seva and have more and more inspiration. I feel very fortunate to be like a Thai person, and now I'm also like I'm also reading Inner Fulfillment, and it's very good, and I'm trying also, we also having project to translate in Thai, and I'm still like in the process and very excited. And now, because before when we have event, we didn't have a proper photos of our guru. So now I printed a lot, and now my room is full of the photo, and every day I give the offering, and I meditate with the photo, offer flowers, and I feel very happy. Yes. Yeah, and keep reading, keep listening to Zoom, and in the Instagram, it's very nourishing for me. I feel always so grateful. Thank you.
And you are reminding us to utilize our fortune. If we've come across something very wonderful, very rare, beautiful, honest and genuine, and now we must utilize that fortune and make our lives actually successful simply by doing the right thing. And in the beginning, maybe many changes or some changes in our life. From our experience just yesterday, as you're saying, we had public were here. I mean, it seems extraordinary, but how some people still eat meat in this world. I mean, just to start from the beginning parts that we need to eat, take prasadam, not only vegetarian, but prasadam. And just simple things that it's not that we stop eating, it's not that we stop breathing or anything, but we use our breath, we use our food, we use our life in a positive way with proper guidance, guardian ruled family, this idea. And this also, when we have got a current of service, then everything fits into place rather than a separate plan of renunciation, which is where Priya Sundari also, she started us today with this thought that it is service which is the main thing, and not to worry about all the other negative things. But not to worry doesn't mean, oh, we just are unrestricted in our life. It is not so. But naturally we'll be restricted in our life. When we're engaged in our service, we know what is the higher goal. We won't want to do the lower things. So what is natural, what will become natural is the service world, the service life, the giving life. And to exploit is not a good idea. Sevarupa, in the meantime, the pauper and the knowing sage. References. This illustration was used by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his teachings to Srila Sanatana Goswami to say that Sri Krishna is the soul's true guardian. Sri Krishna is the soul's true guardian. Devotion to Krishna is the soul's true dharma. And the joy of selfless, loving service to Krishna is the soul's highest attainment. The text is as follows. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Mighty Lead 20, 127 to 143. That's quite a lot of verses in one day. Yes, beautiful, very beautiful. And the voice means the expression of Srila Prabhupada, or Srila Guru Maharaj, and Srila Gurudev. They all have their individual ways, of course, but the theme and the mood, that family mood, is there with each of them. In a family, all your uncles and aunts, they're not carbon copies of each other, but they're all with one theme, which is the welfare of everyone within the family. And here's Priya Sundari Devi Dasi, a hand coming from a flower. So I think that means that she would like to say something. Priya Sundari Devi Dasi, please do contribute. We are all ears to hear the flower speak.
Dandavata all the devotees, including Maharaj. I just wanted to give some news from Lahta, St. Petersburg in Russia.
Oh, please, yes.
And, well, yesterday we had Saturday again. It means the day to welcome everyone who wants to come and learn about Krishna consciousness. But, first of all, I wanted to thank Parajita Didi because I'm following them and looking that now they have Bhagavad Gita readings and discussions, and Muktinath Prabhu told me that you're watching the movies about Srila Prabhupada. So it's also very inspiring because we all remember that like before Bangkok was, how to say, the earth that, I mean, of course there was ashram and Srila Gurudev visited, but presently nothing, not much of preaching happened maybe there. And now some Thai community is growing, so it's very nice to observe. So keep on growing. Yes. And in St. Petersburg, yes, also people are coming, and new people and old ones. But what I wanted to share that for a long time here we had a Srila Gurudeva's Murti, like a preparation. And now I see that maybe some measurements were done, like maybe at some point it's going to be installed. I don't know when, but even to see that something happens in this direction is very like, cheering me up somehow. And recently this year, Giriraj also came, because usually the sequence is like first Sri Giriraj comes and then the deities. But in Lahta, the deities were installed first by Srila Gurudev, and everyone somehow, I don't know, was lamenting that there was no Giriraj, and just this year he came. So, and another thing that I wanted to share, that once a couple of days ago, I was walking by the Finnish Gulf, and suddenly I met one woman, here in St. Petersburg, when the spring comes and the sun begins to shine, everyone's like out of their flats, just standing in the sun with their faces up, just to catch some rays. And I don't know, I saw this woman, there were like 3 or 4 people at the Gulf. And then after some time, like I saw that we are walking in the same direction, and I had this feeling like to invite her to the temple. It was just 10 minutes away by walking. And she said yes, and we talking a little bit, and then it turned out that when she was young, she had some connection with Krishna consciousness. And now she's a regent in a Christian church. It means she was singing for like 40 years or something. But I was just amazed again, like how this, even subtle connection, it gives you like subtle impulse to talk to some, so to say, strangers, to invite them. And it's not just the first case, like you have this inner impulse to speak with people, and then you learn that it had some connection with Krishna anyway. So sometimes you say, like, once in Krishna consciousness, like you're never really out of it. So I think even really, if you had some touch, then it's kind of marker on a subtle level, and then even after like 40 years, you can feel this vibe. That's just interesting observation from my side, and I think it's nice. I don't know.
Jai, Dandavad, and very happy to hear all that positive news from the Bay of Finland, I think it is. We saw, maybe it was the last back to basics. So Pritu Prabhu was walking along the shore there. But there were some buildings I didn't recognize, so maybe there's been some new construction along the Bay of Finland. But then when he came back to the temple, the unmistakable, beautiful ashram building there with the tilak on the outside, clear to everybody, like tilak in the design throughout. So it's clear to everyone, oh, here's a different place, a special place. And they have the flag that flies, and the surfers, they have a surfboard with a paraglider, parasurfing, they call it, or paragliding surfing, something. They have competitions there because the sea is quite flat and the wind is quite strong and consistent. And those surfers, they call it the Hare Krishna point. You can correct me if I'm wrong there, Priyanana, but they actually call it the Hare Krishna point. They see the flag and that's their reference point. Oh, look, so fast you're coming up with these pictures. There's the tilak, and there's tilak all around. Yes, my goodness. And somebody's dog. Is that a dog? I'm trying to make it bigger, but it doesn't go bigger right now. Oh, it has gone bigger. Yeah, it's a dog. Look at that. Yeah, there's the Bay of Finland, covered in ice, and there you can see St. Petersburg in the distance, all those tall buildings. And that white stuff is snow, for those of you who live in Thailand and other hot countries.
Your Maharaj, it's not recent photos. It's not that snowy now. Yeah, but it's our temple dog. Her name is Leela. And yeah, she also helps to serve, to protect the devotees. These just nice photos from the winter season.
Leela, the dog. Hare Krishna. And that dog protecting the property, like Rosie and Ketu protecting the property of Navadip.
Yeah, like Ketu in Navadvip, not like Ketu in Thailand.
Oh, not like Ketu in Thailand, no.
Although he's also good. If Bhakti Lalita watches this class.
Bhakti Lalita watches his class. What?
No, I mean, I'm saying, although Ketu in Thailand is also good, in case Bhakti Lalita watches this class.
In case Bhakti Lalita watches this class. Okay, I have no comment about Ketu in Thailand. But Ketu in Navadip, he was definitely a working dog and knew his job. Hare Krishna. Yes, any question from anybody? We should really ask. Well, we do ask questions often at the beginning. There's a lot of silence. But does anybody have a question or contribution? And nice to see Salt Lake City well presented. And now near Salt Lake City, well, just a drive away. Bhima Krishna Prabhu and Istadeva Devi Dasi. Two devotees we always hear only good things about. So we're happy to have you with us. Share some good things with us, both of you kindly.
Maharaj, you can consider us in Salt Lake City. My heart, our heart is there. So. I know it's like I always talk right at the end of class and I blabber on, but my Dandavats Maharaj, Dandavats Shileka devotees. Just some thoughts that came to my mind when you're talking about service and responsible service and family and the theme. Like it makes me think a lot about just like here being far away, like there's not a temple here. We can drive to SoCal. It's like about 8 hours to drive to SoCal. So it's not very close, but so I'm always thinking like, well, what is my service? You know, what is it that I'm supposed to do? But I have young children, you know, I have a family to maintain. And you might remember this because you actually helped me the last time I saw Srila Gurudev when I was leaving to come home. I remember thinking like, I want to ask Gurudev for some instruction, but I was too big of a coward, or I didn't want to disobey Gurudev's orders and cause offense. So I didn't dare ask like what he wanted me to do. So I didn't ask anything, but I remember sitting there and it was myself and Anandamoy Didi and Prapula Krishna from Brazil, Prapula, I believe. But we were sitting there and Anandamoy is telling Gurudev, you know, I hope that we can come back and see you again. And Gurudev kind of immediately said, he looked straight at me and he says, Krishna's giving service. He said, we are all his servitors. You remember that. And actually at the time I was coming home, I was going to ask my wife to marry me. So there's so many angles, but this is one of those things that like the acharyas and like the Vaishnavas, they can say something to you that seems so simple. Krishna's giving service and we are all his servitors. You remember that, you know? And so for me, that was like a direct instruction, because I always also wanted some instruction from Gurudev. I was always near Gurudev because I was a guard at his door for like the last bit of time I was there. But, you know, I didn't have so much interaction because he's showing ill health at the time. But even for him to say something, you commented, you said, did you hear your instructions from Gurudev? And I only caught you remember that. So I'm happy that you heard it. Otherwise that would have just been lost on me. But just very fortunate to hear that. But it reminded me too that one day I was at work and I do maintenance work. I clean and fix things, whatever. I do all these different things, but I was mopping the floor and I heard a lecture by Gurudev and I wish I remembered what he said, but it really hit me strongly that, you know, Krishna's giving service and we're all his servitors. And I was thinking about my children and my wife. I have the service. They're devotees and I have to serve them. And I was thinking about, like, I don't know, like we all have things coming to us and we're all in different places and we all have different things, but it's all service. And if everything ultimately is Krishna and it's all coming to us for a reason, he's showing us these things, we have to be open to that. And if my service is to take care of my children and my family right now, that's my service and I have to do that. Because it made me think about like Srila Prabhupada. His father probably had no idea that he was going to go on and preach to the world the Krishna conscious movement, you know. But we have our children, and it made me think, well, if my duty is to just maintain my family, maybe he has some plan for my children to do great things in service later on in life. I don't know these things, but like we have to just surrender to what comes to us and just kind of be open for any possibility ultimately. But anyway, just some thoughts I've had recently just on my meditations and trying to just see, you know, have some clarity on what my purpose is and what I should be trying to do for service. And so Jai Srila Gurudev and Nandavatsam.
And nothing is separate from the Lord. This is also the point. And so we must see every circumstance if the Lord's affectionate hand is there in the background. And here you are, everyone's got responsibility. You've got responsibility. But Krishna, coming to Bhagavad Gita, to reference to the Bhagavad Gita, is saying, we have our duty, but the result isn't in our hand. And what is it, our duty? To always remember Krishna, never forget him, and give as best as we can for all of his creation, and with Krishna at the center. So you are raising your family with Krishna consciousness, prasada, they're hearing the holy names. And the result is up to Krishna. And as you say, Gaura Mohande, Krishna, Priya Prabhupada's father, he didn't live to see the day where his son comes to be, the Jagat Guru. And I mean, that's amazing. So his father, he lived a life, and his son's growing up and going to be a chemist, a pharmacist. I don't know at what age he passed away. But he's laid all the foundation for that future life. And we only see also this one life. So the devotees have children, but the children, they're getting so much exposure to Mahaprabhu, to Krishna, the holy name, prasadam, service also. Ishtadevika, let us know what's behind your
I don't
smile at what your husband has been saying.
I don't have anything particular other than just I'm so grateful to be here with all of you, and just hearing all of the devotees share is so inspiring. And I'm just grateful that even though we are away in distance from the devotees, we get to be with you all on a regular basis through the interwebs, and really grateful for that, and grateful to be able to serve my family as well. And yes, thank you for being here, all of you, and my dandavats to everyone.
Dandavats. And you have a classic example of the guardian ruled family, where the head of the house is the guidance of Guru, actually. Devotee's house, it is all under the shelter of Sri Guru. All right, and as you point out, we're here with all the beautiful devotees. Govinda, Govinda. Radha Sundari joined, she's in India, and Muktinath joined, just as Agitated Devi Dasi was describing about the preaching going on, the people reaching going on in Bangkok. And very happy to hear this first news that you're preparing a publication in Thai. Which book were you translating? Just remind me.
The inner fulfillment, the booklet, but still on the way. But actually it's quite hard to write Sanskrit reading in Thai, but I think I will first English, and we discuss whether to keep English or try to research more, because I'm still not so good at Sanskrit in Thai. Yeah,
You
but
mean how to put it in the Thai writing, the sound of the Sanskrit.
yes,
Sarva,
because actually in Thai we use Sanskrit, so there is a specific way to write Sanskrit in Thai. And in Thai, there are letter with same sound, different letter, and yes, so it's a bit complicated for me because I didn't learn about that. It's more like maybe people in Buddhism feel maybe they are more familiar with that.
Well, according to the necessity, Krishna may send some person who is expert in this way, who may be able to help. So keep on going.
Yes.
Yes, Muktinath Prabhu. Dandavad. We can't hear you, Prabhu. Your lips are moving.
I'm just nothing to add. Just
Oh.
happy to hear and happy to see everyone.
We hear your heart and we feel your heart, Muktinathru. Well done. Keeping going. All right, dear devotees, we're all better keep on going. We all have some duties to do. We have to surrender every day and do the right thing. But hopefully that surrender comes to just connecting in the flow of service and not thinking, oh, I have to do this instead of this. And this is what Srila Gurudev also indicated, one of the examples he gave. We just have to get into the upward carrying current and not hold on to the bank. So we try to do those two things, get into the upward carrying current and try not to keep a hold of the bank. No, don't let me go in this current. All right, all positive. There's a great future, but there's a great present. We just have to use the present nicely under the guidance of Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Jai Srila Gurudev, Srila Bhakti Sundari Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj ki Jai. Jai Srila Guru Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Rockok Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj ki Jai. Jai Srila Prabhupada, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki Jai. And Jai Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur ki Jai. Jai Srila Satchitananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki Jai. And Jai Sri Rupanuga Guru Bhaga ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki Jai. All the assembled devotees ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Acharya Vrinda ki Jai. Harinam Sankirtan ki Jai. Nitai Gaura Premanandi. Hari Hari Bol. And good to see each of you one by one. Kamala, Radha Sundari, Dana is with us. Hari Dev, one of our newest family members here with us. Shara Shiromani and Harini Devi Dasi, Induleka, Chris, which is Krishnananda, Prabhu, I explained. And Gangalila Didi Pavan Krishna Prabhu, Aparajita. And Jai Gauranga Prabhu there with Priya Sundari Devi Dasi, and others are somewhere nearby, no doubt. And Sri Leka, I was going to say last but not least, Sri Leka Devi Dasi, and Sevarupa Devi Dasi, all the two men, Bimal Krishna movies today. And Madhava Prabhu and Vaidehi is on, they are on the Facebook. Oh, and by the way, we've got actual contribution here on Facebook in text from Vaidehi, from California Vaidehi Amma. Yes, take care of your family. That is your service. This is Vaidehi Bhiman Krishna giving some feedback. Take care of your family. That is your service. Make them Krishna conscious! Exclamation mark. Practice at home. I know Gurudev wanted parents to take care of their kids as their first service. Giant, there we are. Vaidehi, good to have you with us. Okay, we're all in contact. We'll speak again soon. Nitai Gaur Premanandi.
Jai Shri Bhaktivanjan Madhusudan Maharaj ki Jai.
Jai.
Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. With all good wishes, Ashchi Govinda Govinda.